Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again. Before you dislike the video because you disagree with my title, I just want to explain myself here. Yes, I truly believe that Twisted Metal 3 is a good game. Does that necessarily mean it's a good Twisted Metal game? Not necessarily, and I will stand by that. I don't think it's the best one in the series, and I don't even think it's in my top 3. But I still have a lot of fun with this game, and I obviously love speedrunning it. So I wanted to give you guys 5 reasons as to why I truly will stand by that Twisted Metal 3 is a good game. In my top 5 here, I'm not going in any particular order. One is not more important than the other in my eyes. So I just want to get that out of the way. This is not a ranking video or anything like that. But coming out at number 1, we have the graphics. This game, in my opinion, was pretty great looking for the time. Obviously, in my content and on my live streams, when I play the game, I upscale it in 4K and I use an emulator that makes the game look better than it did back in the day. So you're gonna have to take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I will say that this game still, even playing it on old hardware, still looked good for the time. When I compared it to other games, especially Twisted Metal 1 and Twisted Metal 2, TM3 blew it out of the water with its code and its graphics. It just looks so damn smooth. I can't really explain why. Yes, it did have some issues with the frame rate here and there, especially when fire effects were on screen, and they sadly did not fix any of that with Twisted Metal 4, but the graphics still stand up to this day, and I can't put a finger on it. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking for me, but this is genuinely one of the better looking PlayStation 1 titles to this day. Number 2 is the physics, and no, I'm not trolling, I'm not pulling your leg. The physics were genuinely ahead of their time. And I'm talking about vehicle physics, by the way, not just physics in general. I know there was ragdoll physics back in the day and stuff like that at this point. But in terms of a game involving vehicles, vehicle combat to be specific, the physics were actually super revolutionary. And I gotta thank Jim Buck for that. It was through his vision and through his physics system that he created in Dirt Rally that brought over to TM3 is what we got the product we have here today. I know a lot of people hate the physics of TM3, and don't get me wrong, I totally get that. I'm not saying anybody is wrong if they think the physics are bad or that they dislike the physics. That's totally fine, and that's their opinion. But if somebody comes out and they say objectively the physics are bad, they're absolutely wrong. From a technical standpoint, the physics are actually insanely impressive. This is the only game in the series, to my knowledge, that you can ramp up a wall, do a full cartwheel, barrel roll, whatever you want to call it, and land it perfectly and make it look graceful. Now, obviously, you can screw this up, and most of the time, you're just going to flop around like a dead fish and land upside down, waiting for the game to recover your car right side up. But with that being said, the physics are still one of those things that I absolutely adore with this game, and you actually can master them. Believe it or not, you can get so good at the game that you genuinely will never flip over, or at least if you do, it's by complete accident or just from a random explosion, which does happen from time to time. But for the most part, just driving around or going off a ramp or whatever, you have the ability to control the vehicle very precisely. And this is with a D-pad, nonetheless, not even an analog. But you can control the car so specifically and so precisely that you can control if your car will flip, if it'll barrel roll, if you'll land upside down, or land on your tires. And that's what I absolutely love about TM3's physics. They made it a lot more tighter and more in control in TM4, which I think more people preferred, and I totally understand why. But I still prefer the physics of TM3 to this day. I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about the floaty mechanics and the bounciness of the vehicles that adds so much joy and fun to the game that make every encounter unique. And also, not only you have to deal with the physics, but the AI also have to as well, which makes gameplay incredibly silly and fun, and I think that's what Twisted Metal is all about. Number 3 is that the AI actually do fight each other when you're not around. And they become way more obvious of this in higher difficulty. So if you play on pure lunacy, the AI will more than likely kill each other before they ever come after you, which is absolutely hilarious. I understand why most Twisted Metal titles don't have the cars do this, mainly because they don't want the game to be too easy. They want you to have somebody to fight, and they want it to be a one versus everybody else in the level, even though technically it doesn't make any sense in a tournament standpoint for the story. But we like to put that aside because we still love these games anyway. But yeah, the AI for me in TM3 is really smart, mainly because not only do they fight each other, but they also do go for heals when they need them, just like a real player would if you were playing online. However, Most people get annoyed by this, including myself at times for sure. We call it a TM3 moment. Whenever we're about to kill somebody, but we get frozen by somebody else or something weird happens, that character gets away like a little weasel, they run and get a heal, and they come back and you have to basically kill them again. Very annoying, and I totally can understand why people hate it. But still, to me, I'd rather have it more realistic like that and have them feel like they have a real brain than just to be a brain-dead AI that sits there and just continuously freeze spams you over and over and over again until you die, even if they have 1% health and probably should be running for health themselves. Number 4 is that the weapons actually do feel pretty good in TM3. I know this is kind of sacrilege and a lot of people probably will not believe me or agree with me on this statement, but I genuinely think that out of most of the games in the series, TM3's weapons to how much damage they do to a vehicle's health bar is pretty balanced for the most part. There are a couple that really feel weak and they should have been better, the rain missile and the speed missile to name a few, but I think most of them actually feel pretty genuinely good. The napalm, for instance, and the mortar feel amazing to get direct hits with, very, very fun, and they do a lot of damage if you get direct hits with them. The power missile feels like a pretty strong power missile that even has some pretty good pushback. The Ricos always send people flying, which is always hilarious because of the physics engine I talked about earlier. And even the homing missiles and the fire missiles do their job pretty well. There are some tracking issues in the game though that I've pointed out many times, and it's still very true and evident that the tracking could have been better for most weapons. But I think once you get the physics down to the game and you can track people pretty well yourself and drive after them or freeze them in time, I don't really have a huge issue with the tracking or seeking properties of the homing and fire missiles. But I feel like when you do get hits with them, they do enough damage to where it justifies not having the most accurate weapon possible. Also, on a side note here, the fact that you can spam the rear attack ability with any weapon in the game when you're running away from somebody to get an easy kill is absolutely hilarious, and also a really fun tactic when you're speedrunning. And at number 5, this one is a little bit of a stretch, I will admit this, but I still can't get away from this thought that the blimp, the final map in the game by the way, is pretty innovating, at least for the time in Twisted Metal's history. The reason I say this is because, to my knowledge, this is the only level in Twisted Metal that you need to accomplish something in order to actually beat the game other than just killing all the enemies on the level. Yes, I know they implemented this later in Twisted Metal Black with like the shield, for instance, for Minion and the shield for Warhawk. I'm not counting those because that came after the fact. I'm talking about the first 2 games before TM3 did not have anything like this. So even though Twisted Metal 3 was rushed out of the gate with only 9 months of development time, absolutely still mind-boggling to me that they got this finish in time, but they were able to innovate and actually add a new gameplay formula for the final level of the tournament, which I think was very smart. I know this probably pissed off a lot of people, and truth be told, as a kid, I was very confused by this level, and it always pissed me off because I could never figure out how to destroy the switches in time to kill all the cars to go to the final boss before losing all my lives. It was very difficult and very frustrating. But once you get the flow of the game and you understand how to get to the final level without losing any lives, you are a shoe-in for finally getting through and destroying all of those pesky little panels to then being able to kill people without them respawning and being able to fight Primeval. Not only that, but the game gives you a literal cheat code in the middle of the level, which is a giant hole that you can push Primeval in and kill him immediately. So for that, I think that kind of makes up for the frustrations for new players who can't necessarily figure out they have to destroy these switches first. But I think this is a really cool idea. It's an added little gimmick, if you will, to make the gameplay feel more fresh and innovative than just, here's a ton of cars, kill them all, and then defeat a boss battle. I just absolutely love that the blimp feels like an entirely new game mode for the final battle to make it really feel like an epic conclusion to the storyline. So those are my top 5 reasons why I personally think Twisted Metal 3 is a genuinely good game. Obviously, there's issues with this game and why I still stand by my statement. I don't necessarily believe it's a good Twisted Metal game. Because as you guys know, in TM3, they completely shafted Axel, they shafted Mr. Grimm. They did give me my favorite versions of Thumper and Spectre though, so I have to give them a little leg up. And they gave us Club Kid, which is another big W. But yeah, the game has issues. The endings, of course, are all atrocious. There's no way I could ever justify how bad those endings are, or even how badly they aged over these years. They just look super horrifying. But they are great meme material, so I will give it that. But yeah, you guys know that Twisted Metal 3 has always been a laughingstock of the series. It's always kind of that odd child, the ugly duckling, if you will. But I still have to give it props, and I have to give it praise where praise is warranted. And I feel with these 5 reasons that I've showcased in this video, Twisted Metal 3 can actually be looked at in a good light every now and again. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are in Twisted Metal 3. Are you a fan of this game, or are you a hater of this game? Let me know. Be honest, be critical. Whatever you feel, whatever you're honestly thinking in your brain right now, I want to hear it in the comment section below. With that, make sure to leave a like, show your support. As always, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out.